Hello everyone, we're back with another news video about the whole HBO Max disaster that's going on right now. I guess there's going to be a few more news videos like this because I also have another one in mind immediately after this one that I have to make. And then we'll probably just hear even more news over time. Hopefully, eventually, it'll become good news, but who knows? So if you don't know what's going on, which, I don't know, I assume everybody invested in animation at this point probably knows, Warner Brothers got bought by Discovery. And in that process, Discovery is now trying to save themselves money. And the way they're doing that is canceling movies that were in production and basically nearly finished, like Scoob 2 and Batgirl, and probably ones that we haven't even heard of. And they are also removing content from HBO Max, a lot of it being HBO Max exclusive content. And the reasoning for this still isn't 100% clear. I've mentioned it may be royalties, it's maybe a tax write-off. Tons of comments and stuff are saying it's the tax write-off thing, but there's still no official source saying anything. What we'll read today is the closest thing to an official source that we have, pretty much, I think. The only thing we know is Warner themselves have come out and said that they're going to try to save money Discovery came out and said they're going to try to save money because Warner was in debt, or like they just were not, their profits were not enough to make up for all the productions they were making. So they're trying to do the best to get some money back into the company. And their way of doing that is demolishing a lot of entertainment they had, like Infinity Train, for example, which was something that has been out for years, but they see it as something that isn't profitable, so they're taking it away from HBO Max to avoid having to pay out money to the crew and such. The creator of Infinity Train, Owen Dennis, wrote a both hopeful and very sad article about his experience with this whole situation, about finding out the show is being removed and trying to find a reason why it was happening. And spoiler alert, we basically didn't find out a reason, but there's a lot of interesting bits in here about the industry and just about Cartoon Network themselves, because luckily it really does not seem like anyone has been pointing blame on Cartoon Network. And that's definitely true because Cartoon Network is controlled by Discovery now. And it is these new Discovery people coming in that are making all these decisions, not Cartoon Network. So it's a whole mess. We'll just read a majority of this little thing that he wrote on his Substack account, which I guess is sort of like a Patreon thing for professional artists or something, because the creator of Summer Camp Island also opened her own account on this website. It might become a trend for industry people to have accounts like this on the side. Let's read through this. I've already read it, but I think there's a lot of important stuff in here that some fans of Infinity Train in particular, but also just people invested in the industry, would be really interested to hear, because I always love seeing very candid information like this. The announcement on Wednesday of Infinity Train, OKKO, Summer Camp Island, The Funkies, and many other shows being taken off HBO Max was a shock to all of us. Every time I hear, I always forget that The Funkies was also removed, because it's also in my head that the Aquaman show was removed, that. There was just so much removed unneededly. Not just to fans, but to the creators and artists that made all the shows as well. I had no idea it was coming, neither did any other show creator I've talked with, nor any of their representatives. People have been working behind the scenes for days now trying to figure out what's going on. Also, this was published on, I think, Saturday. It's now Tuesday, so, maybe they found a little more out, but I don't think there's been any new posts. 1,000 phone calls, texts, and emails have been sent, but the problem is that the entirety of Warner and Discovery is going under a merger. This means that people who you would normally talk to have been fired, moved, or quit, so no one has any idea how to get the information they need right now. This is the same thing that happened in the early months of the merger with AT&T, which I don't know when exactly that happened, but Warner ended up being bought by AT&T for a little while, and then now Discovery has moved in place of AT&T. Never cheer for a corporate merger. They help about 100 people and hurt thousands. Because of all this confusion, I thought I'd share what I know as of today. So far, everything related to mentioning Infinity Train has been removed from HBO Max, Cartoon Network, HBO Max and Cartoon Network's Twitter accounts, HBO Max and Cartoon Network's YouTube accounts, all music streaming services. Currently, it is still available on iTunes, Amazon Prime, Vudu, Google Play, and YouTube. I think he mentions it too, but not only is it available on these websites, on iTunes at least, the whole series, because it's different books, it's separated into different sets of series. All 4 books were at the top of the best-selling chart. They were, I think, starting at number 2 spot or the number 3 spot. It was all Infinity Train. The only thing above it was apparently Rick and Morty season 6, which I guess is a pre-order or something, or is there an episode out? I have no idea. And then also number 1 was Better Call Saul, which, you have, Better Call Saul just ended. That's a cable TV show that just ended. So people who don't have cable are definitely running out to buy that episode or the season. And that's going to be a lot of people. We don't have numbers on how much is being sold here, but Better Call Saul is a big deal. especially right now because like it kind of became a meme and stuff. So a lot of new viewers are getting into it, myself included. So the fact that Infinity Train is right underneath that, is right underneath a really, really popular series that just ended, that means that these Infinity Train things are selling a lot. It might differentiate between the books. Like I think book 1 was the best selling because there's maybe people who never watched the show at all that are trying to get on the train before, that I didn't even mean that to be a pun, but they're trying to buy it before it's gone forever. So they're just at least starting with book 1 and then they'll buy the rest. So maybe it's an overestimate, but like book 1, maybe, I think each book probably sold over 4,000 digital copies at least. And that's at least. I want to say like book 1 might have even sold 10,000, but there's no way to know. That might be way too much. I really have no idea how many people buy digital stuff. But the fact that, you know, iTunes and all these websites still sell digital copies of TV shows, and considering how big Better Call Saul is, like in that being in the #1 spot, I would imagine Better Call Saul sold like 30,000 copies or something. And it's, I mean, it's gonna be different on each service too, but still, but Infinity Train has to be selling a lot here, especially because people are paranoid. Whether it's, you know, fans that just want to support it or people who never saw it before and are rushing to get it because they worry it's gonna be gone. Even though, yes, you can pirate it, yada yada, but buying it is a very different thing. So I don't know. I would be very curious to see those numbers, but the fact that it's up there on the best selling, I think means it's selling quite a bit. Definitely thousands. I don't know what's under it because you know, again, I don't know how much is being sold for other shows, but still, okay. Anyways, probably don't need to be talking about that much. I do not know how long it will stay on any of those services. No one does. As of yesterday evening, I was assured by Warner that it would not be taken down from any pay per season episode service. That's good to hear because that was a fear. Think about, there's always like PT, you know, like the playable teaser thing that's so iconic for the Silent Hill game that got canceled. People sell their PlayStation consoles with that installed on it for a lot of money. And if Infinity Train got taken away from these digital services, it'd kind of become one of those scenarios where if you were lucky enough to have it on your account, like you have a valuable account because you have technically lost media on your account. It's good to hear that that won't go away, but the real confusing thing is that if they're not going to take that away, why'd they take it from HBO Max and why'd they delete every single tweet about it? I think the fact that they deleted the tweets about it makes no sense, and I don't think Owen even clarifies it here at all. Like we have no explanation for why they are, like, they're erasing it like it's like Watergate documents. I'm pretty sure that if iTunes is no longer allowed to have the show, they won't take it away after you've already paid for it. There's probably links to a like iTunes FAQ article or something. Which, yeah, that's very likely because it's like I was just saying, like as an example, it's probably like that with video games and stuff too. Like, actually, I think there's movies on Sony's like video service on their PlayStation that you're not going to be able to watch anymore, even if you bought them. So that's crazy, but it seems like that won't be the case here. However, I don't know for a fact about any of this. This is the scary part about no longer using physical media. I was also assured late yesterday evening that the show is not being used for that tax write-off loophole that is now so overwhelmingly associated with Batgirl and Scoob. Will this continue to be true? I also don't know, but the end date for the tax write-off is the beginning of September, so maybe that will give us a hint. Again, like so many comments are explaining that the tax write-off is the reason, but we really don't know if that's what's going on with these animated shows. But it kind of can't be what's going on because they're still existing on other services, like OKKO is still on Hulu, for example. How did this chaos happen? No idea. I'm told from various sources that this wasn't supposed to happen until next week sometime, so that Cartoon Network, HBO Max, etc. could have the time to tell all the show creators and artists what's going on, which, you know, would have been good. Would that have really changed what happened? No, but it would make the artists and the creators way less panicked. They would still be very angry. They would at least not be panicked and could have like prepared to tell fans and stuff. That's obviously not what happened. And now this is where that disorganization has gotten us. Cartoon Network warned them not to do this, but this is the part where we like cheer for Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network warned them not to do this as it would hurt the relationships with creators and talent. And, you know, also fans who are very invested in the creators and talent. And I mean the media itself too. But they, meaning Discovery, clearly don't care about what any of this looks like publicly, much less how we feel about it. And it's like insane that like this has been a PR disaster for them, but they still did it because they want the money. They didn't care about anybody's response to this, not the people who they're supposed to be paying, not the people who are supposed to be enjoying the content. They've just made everyone angry. Why'd they do this? No one knows, but we do know it was a direct order from Discovery. and it's about saving money somehow. The general consensus is that this has something to do with paying animators and artists their residuals that they're owed for their work, which is the money they're supposed to be paid after creating something, because, you know, they have ties to it, whether they boarded it or wrote for it or did a voice, and it's all that. You will sometimes see an argument online of, well, they already paid the artist to make it, so what are they complaining about? Don't listen to someone who says this, because they either don't understand or don't care about what our pay structure is. Which, yes, too, like, think about, like, merchandise, you know, like if they make a toy for, say, Gravity Falls, in a huge roundabout way, that toy money gets back to Alex Hirsch, you know? That's what a residual is. Even though it's a percentage, it's got to go through all sorts of different stuff, even like just distributors of the products and things. Like, it all eventually comes back to the people who made it, because they freaking made it and they deserve some of the money. And I don't just mean creator too, like other crew positions work the same exact way. Our pay is not complete without the ongoing residuals. Those residuals aren't paid directly to the artists. They actually go to our union to pay for our healthcare, which is a whole other political scenario that I'm not even prepared to talk about, but there was a lot of union troubles going on because the executive aspect of the industry hates unions because they help people. So, you know, so not paying artists residuals on their work means that they are indirectly defunding our healthcare. This also means that music and actor residuals will stop. And this part I find really interesting. For reference, the first quarter of this year, I made $388.45 off of residuals for voicing Won-Won. We're not talking about a whole lot of money here. That's the equivalent of the studio accidentally buying an extra office chair. But that same sort of money is going to go to other voice actors and the composers and stuff too. Won-Won is a very reoccurring character, so, you know, he is getting a higher amount of residuals than some other voice actors who may have been on 1 or 2 episodes. But also, I say higher, but this is not a lot of money, like, at all in the grand scheme of the world. That's nothing. But I just find it so interesting to finally see an exact number of payment. Whether, you know, this is intentionally a bad example for just residuals, but you know, as someone like me who is so interested in the industry, I've just always been curious about this sort of thing. So to finally see someone like come out and talk about their income is just very fascinating to see. But, you know, again, obviously this is a intentionally bad example of the income he's receiving. And there's very obvious reasons why people don't just openly talk about their income. So, like, of course you never hear it, but it's still just very fascinating to me to see it. But yeah, so that's like the combined earnings from people streaming Infinity Train or buying the DVD and all that stuff. And it's, again, it's all super roundabout. It's all small percentage. Like, this is probably like payments of like 4 cents added up together to reach this point because of just how many avenues the show is available on. And Discovery's doing everything in their power to make sure that this low number becomes even lower for everyone involved, not just Owen. And it's possible Owen receives residuals for the other aspects of the show, like because he's the creator, because he wrote, I mean, I would assume he storyboarded too. He might be receiving other residuals that may just be about this same price range. He's just using the voice acting as an example, but also all the other people on the crew, which, you know, is like 100 something people because it takes forever to make this type of content. They're all getting this payment too, and Discovery wants to make sure they're removing the show from HBO Max seemingly so that they can stop sending out this sort of payment to the crews because they want to save money, because they literally just feel like they don't have to pay people who made something for them. It's literally maniacal. There's, like, don't even get me started. They're saying that Discovery is saying that they don't want to pay people for the work that they did, basically. And that's like the worst thing a business could do ever. CNBC has estimated that this will likely save Discovery somewhere in the tens of millions of dollars, a very small drop in the bucket of the $3 billion that Zelzov has said he wants to save by 2023, which is, yeah, again, I think I said that much earlier in this video that's going on for too long because I keep complaining. So, you know, by cutting off these residuals, they're going to save $10 million, basically. 10 million, well, we can do some math. 10 million divided by 3 billion. That's 0.03% of the debt they're trying to recover. by literally not paying these artists, they're basically doing nothing, because $1 billion is a lot of money. So, you know, 10 million when you're counting up to 3 billion is nothing. You know, it's all, you know, when you're talking with money numbers this big, it's hard for our brains to compute the math on it, because you don't normally deal with these sorts of numbers unless you're a billionaire, which, you know, not a lot of people are. And Billionaires don't, you know, the only thing billionaires want to do is make more money, even though the money they already have could be like literally over 1 million people's entire lifetime income. Like, it's absurd. CNBC also says everything getting pulled off HBO Max was infrequently watched, according to the people familiar with the matter, which is just completely wrong. This is something I was also thinking about earlier. I find it very interesting that Adventure Time Distant Lands didn't fall into this disaster, because if you really think about it, like for HBO Max stuff, you know, we're never going to see the numbers on the viewership. But Infinity Train, not only just because it has more episodes, but just in general, I think it was notably more popular than Adventure Time Distant Lands was. Distant Lands only has 4 episodes, and yeah, it has the nostalgia factor, but Infinity Train went on for longer, and it was a new modern thing. It was exclusive to the service, basically. I feel like Infinity Train would have more viewership than Distant Lands. So why isn't Distant Lands being touched by this? You know, it's weird. I wouldn't want it to be. You know, my God, I don't want any of these shows to be touched by this. But this statement here that these are infrequently watched content is just flat out wrong, because people are obsessed with Infinity Train. And just by comparison, you know, Adventure Time, which is another HBO Max exclusive thing, like maybe Obsidian has a ton of views, but I kind of feel like, especially because it's shorter, it wasn't getting as many views as Infinity Train was. So why is it still up? You know, no answer. The guy who runs Discovery just happens to like Adventure Time or something. You know, we have no idea. First off, no one is familiar with the matter, because the entire industry has been trying to reach people that are familiar with the matter for 3 days and haven't been able to do so. That said, it's hard, and yeah, here Owen just uses an example that I just did, basically, that there's so much stuff on HBO Max that is like, you know, content shovelware, I guess is a good way to put it, are stuff that deserve to be taken from the service more than shows that were actually being watched. Shock Corridor, Mystery of the Wax Museum, The X from Outer Space, Ice Station Zema, Red Sonja, and Captain Blood, while all fantastic movies in their own right, are being frequently watched. So clearly it's not frequency, therefore it must be something else. And that something else is, you know, the residuals and the cost of animation probably. However, if they were able to find someone familiar with the matter, and it was about frequency, Discovery has failed to show statistics or provide what metrics they're using. By all publicly available metrics, Infinity Train was in the 91st percentile of children's media. At its height, was 17 times more popular than the average TV shows. As of yesterday evening, was number 1, 2, 3, and 5 on iTunes for kids and family, and in the top 20 on iTunes overall. Or maybe it was underperforming. No way to know for sure, as they haven't provided anyone with actual numbers or metrics they're using, not even their own shareholders. Is the show gone forever? I don't believe so. As I've said, it's apparently still available on those sources listed above, though I do not know for how long. The problem is that I can't be entirely sure if the information I'm getting is truthful, or if it's just to placate us so we'll stop pestering them with so many questions. They certainly haven't earned anyone's trust with the way they're handling all this. So obviously take all of this with a grain or 2 or 1 million of salt, though I'm sure you're all feeling pretty salty already. In the meantime, I'll be working with my management team on figuring out some kind of fate for the show. Why did they delete all the social media talking about it if it's not gone forever? This is my biggest question. No clue. I can't even expand on this in any way. That's how little of a clue I or anyone else has. Yeah, correct. How are you feeling? Shitty. I was just going about my life driving home from a work meeting, listening to the Bad Animals album by heart, when all of a sudden my phone started blowing up. It interrupted my song. I think the way that Discovery went about this is incredibly unprofessional, rude, and just straight up slimy. I think most anyone who makes anything feels this way. Across the industry, talent is mad, agents are mad, lawyers and managers are mad, even execs at their companies are mad. I can't think of a single person who works in animation and entertainment that, when you bring all this up, doesn't say, what the fuck are they doing? How do they plan to have anyone ever want to work with them again? Because why would we? What is the point of making something, spending years working on it, putting in nights and weekends doing their terrible notes, losing sleep and not seeing our families, if it's just going to be taken away and shot in the backyard? It's so incredibly discouraging, and they're definitely not going to be getting their best work out of whoever decides to stay. And some people have to stay, like the creator of Uncle Grandpa, I think just last year. He now creates the Looney Tunes series that's on HBO Max. He signed an exclusive deal to work with Warner Brothers for a long time, and I assume that that still holds true even though they got bought out. And he himself is very upset. He tweeted this hilarious picture of Uncle Grandpa preparing to shoot himself in the goddamn head because Uncle Grandpa was part of this purge of content. He's not happy about it, but he may or may not be stuck working there. I don't know. We're working at the intersection of art and commerce, but the people in charge have clearly forgotten that they'll have no commerce without art. What can I do? people talking about the show increases the value of it. So the fact that Infinity Train trended on Twitter for 3 days after all this, that adds value. The fact that Infinity Train is now topping the charts on iTunes, that adds value. If it has more value, that means the people in charge will want to keep it or license it. And just not even with this situation, Infinity Train trends on Twitter like all the time, just randomly, because people just, there's just like days where people are like, oh, remember how good Infinity Train is? And then like just a trillion people draw amazing fan art that like is the coolest stuff you'll ever see in your entire life. Like, it's a show that has always had value, even after it's been gone, or canceled. I mean, now it's gone in a different way. So honestly, just keep doing what you're doing. With my current contract at my current job, which I can't disclose right now, I have a carve out for Infinity Train. If Infinity Train is picked up again somewhere, I could work on that at the same time that I'm working for the company I'm currently working for. I think I get less money or something. I don't remember, but whatever. Saying that, with his current work, he still has time open if he ever gets hired on to do more of Infinity Train, because he just loves it so much and would really, really want to have the chance to do that. But the world of Warner Brothers does not want him doing that. If the show ends up licensed on some other streaming platform, the best thing you can do is watch it there. It's also possible that the other platform could buy the rights to make more episodes. That could go along with what he was saying there too, but I just honestly kind of feel like that's an unrealistic expectation. But it's happened with like Toucan and Birdie and stuff. But Toucan and Birdie's probably notably cheaper to make because I think it's animated within North America. And something like Infinity Train, unless they mix up the art style or something, is made, in Korea, like with that whole process. Again, as of now, you can still buy it on those services mentioned above, and maybe step aboard a ship sailing the high seas to keep an extra copy for yourself. This might, ironically, have become the best advertising the show has ever gotten. I forgot he wrote that. This is like the saddest thing, too. And he's right, but it's that matter of like, bad press is press. Everyone getting pissed at Discovery about this is making people realize that Infinity Train exists. If there's people out there, which there are, because there's plenty of people saying it. There's plenty of people saying that they were watching it and then it got taken down. There's people out there who hadn't watched the show yet and they're like, it's going to be taken away. Oh shit, I got to go watch it. And then now they're going to watch it, or now they're buying it on iTunes. And that's not only is that just stronger advertising because like it's dire, it's like it's a big situation. It's also literally more publicly known than the advertisements made for the show. The pilot got huge, sure, but did any promos for the show, did a trailer or a TV commercial, did anything for the show push people to really watch it? No. And it's the same case for a lot of shows. It's the discussion online that makes people want to watch stuff. Like I can't help but think of Central Park, which is a show I've been watching that I love, that's on Apple TV. It got a few trailers before it came out, and then nobody ever really talked about it. I only found out about it because my friend watched it and posted about it, and I was like, that looks cool. And then I watched it. In this modern era, it's people discussing content that makes it so big. Like, just look at how big anime has gotten on TikTok. Look at how many manga Barnes and Nobles are selling. Like, it's because there's a whole community of just fans talking to each other on TikTok about Barnes & Noble sales and stuff like that. And Barnes & Nobles is just sitting in the background twirling their mustache like, yes, do the advertisement for us. Mwahaha. That's exactly what's happening here. The show is being advertised because people keep mentioning the name of it because they're so concerned about the situation. It's very dire advertisement, but it's still advertisement because it's being discussed. Now, this next part, he just talks about piracy. It's a very opinionated thing. I'm just going to skip over this because this has already gone on way longer than I thought, but I'll, of course, link this article in my pinned comment and in the video description and stuff, so you can come and read it yourself. Last thoughts. I've also seen all the thoughtful, wonderful things people have said about Infinity Train online, and I'm very touched. My friends and I and many former members of the Infinity Train crew have been sharing images, texts, and emails they've received about the show with each other, and every one of them is absolutely appreciated. Thank you so much, and I will continue to try and get more made somehow. So yeah, this is rough, but it's pretty nice to hear some somewhat hopeful dialogue from someone in the industry. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you very much for watching. And once again, a link to this article will be in the description and in my pinned comment.